Former Texas Governor Rick Perry joins me on the phone right now. Thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Hey, you're welcome, Ms. Hughes.
I want to go ahead and ask you, just how are you doing? This is in your home state.
Well, obviously people are hurting. I mean, these are wonderful people whose lives have been snatched away from us by an incredibly evil act. What I try to relay to people is not only in the short term do we have a great deal of healing that has to occur, not only to those who have lost loved ones, but to the society as a whole, as we, there are those, whether it's the perpetrator of this, and again, we don't know all the details here. And I try to caution people until we really know what the details are. Let's be cautious with our remarks, particularly those of us who have big megaphones, to really be thoughtful before we speak to something that we may not have all of the details. It's not taking care of these families, it's take care of our men and women who wear the blue uniform. But it's our EMTs, it's our first responders, it's our veterans, it's all of those who run to the sound of the guns, if you will, that stand between us and those who do harm to our citizens. We need to be truly united with us and be standing up with us, be supporting in lots of different ways. Our country is like a lot of situations where it's torn us apart. We will make it through this. Finding solutions to these issues is going to be a time-consuming one. Our men and women, particularly those of our police, now is the time to really send a powerful message. Just as Chief Brown said, these folks, they get used to serving every day and people not saying thank you. This is a reminder that they get up every day not knowing whether or not they're going to get to come home or not, because they saved someone's life, even to the extent of losing theirs. These are incredibly wonderful, giving, sacrificial individuals, and may we never forget that.
Earlier today you said that this situation has the entire country on edge.
It does, and I think, just like, situations that we have seen before, whether it was the shooters back up in the Northeast, whether it was the events in Ferguson, all of these events that occur can create great angst. They can create a situation where maybe the worst would tend to come out, and we need to defeat that. We need to defeat that evil, whether it's by us speaking before we know all of the information. Defeating evil will require a lot of us doing a lot of different things. But at this particular point in time, trying to find ways to bring this country together is very, very important. Whether it's the President of the United States all the way down to the mayor, city council, right there in Dallas, Texas.
The mayor and the police chief in Dallas have both been praised for their work over the last, several hours now since this situation occurred. They've been very outspoken. We just got word that the current governor is supposed to, Governor Abbott is supposed to speak a little bit later. If you were the governor of Texas right now, what would you be doing?
Nothing different than Governor Abbott. I mean, he is a good man. He understands that this tragedy is one that his job is to help bring people together, and that's what you'll see out of Greg. He will reach out. He will help bring these communities together. He'll have comforting words, and appropriately so. It's my understanding he came back from a family vacation, appropriately so, I might add to that as well. He will be with the people in Dallas, Texas. He'll be with those police officers. He will be with citizens of this state, talking about the message of bringing us together, to holding each of our communities up.
Yeah, along those lines, Governor Perry, you talk a lot about law enforcement and saying thank you to our police officers and such. There's been a lot of different reactions and very divisive, angry reactions to the shootings that occurred in Louisiana and in Minnesota. What is your take on those situations?
Well, again, I just caution individuals to get as much information as they can and get good information, get the truth. I think we all too often we react in a very visceral way with maybe not all the information that we have. We don't know yet. Just as it seemed to be relative.
Are you saying that there isn't a racial issue?
Listen, I think anybody that says there's not racial issues in this country is just not paying attention. Of course there's racial issues. I gave a major speech on race in about a year ago at the National Press Club, and I talked about, and I think it's important for us as a country to admit the failings of society, of which I did in that speech. I hope you'll take a chance to look at one of these days. But we also talked about in that same set of remarks about giving individuals, minority individuals in particular, opportunities, whether it's economic or whether it's education. And we've done that in the state of Texas. We moved our graduation rates to the second highest in America for young African. Matter of fact, if you're African American or Hispanic in America, you live in the state that had the highest high school graduation rate. From 27th in the nation overall back a decade before. Those types of opportunities, whether it's economic opportunities to have a job, whether it's the opportunity to go on to a degree for college or a technical institution, whatever you may choose to do, or be prepared to go on the workforce, that's, I think, a very important part of a conversation that we need to have in this country about how we give opportunities to all Americans. And there are states that have done it and done it very well, and my home state's one of them. I'm very proud of what we've done. Criminal justice reform, it's led the nation. We've shut down 3 prisons and saved over $2 billion from policies that were put into place to be tough on crime. But what we found was we were putting kids in prison, nonviolent, drug-related offenses, where they were going to prison and learning how to become real criminals. And we started changing that decade plus ago. And today, not only are there a lot of young men and women who have lives and have productive lives, it's sending the message to those in the minority community in particular that we care about your future. There's places in this country that really are putting policies into place, and that past transgressions that have occurred in this country, stand up, own them, but also that you learn from them, and we're making real changes in places like Texas, where our minority communities do, in fact, have a better shot at being successful.
That's Governor Perry. You have been outspoken on the Republicans' legacy on race. And also, I think a number of people have been talking about just what a good job the Dallas Police Department has done over the years of reaching out to the community. I do want to ask you, though, do you think that Donald Trump, the presumptive Republican nominee at this point, would do a better job in terms of race relations and these types of situations, these shootings, and responding to it than the current administration?
That's a really difficult question. I think the point is, if we can really think about, I've been critical of this president. I've been critical that he has used events without having all the facts, shooting from the hip, if you will, before all the facts have been in, whether it was Ferguson, whether it was some other places. When I think a more reasoned, thoughtful, and actual-based response would have been better for the country. I think, Donald Trump can learn from that as well as all of us can. That don't make rash statements until you've had the opportunity to really get your arms around all of the facts. And at that particular point in time, you'll most likely make a statement that is better for yourself and better for society.
My mother always said, think before you speak. Seems like words of
Mom
wisdom.
was a wise woman.
Governor Rick Perry, thank you so much. We really appreciate you calling in.
Indeed. God bless you. Keep this country in your prayers.